If this is your first time, I'm Kyle, and one half of the Wandering Shores. So as you can see by the title of this video, today is update number 4 on Starlink. So I thought I'd come out here to a pretty remote area and give you an update on how it's been working for us. So as you can see from the scenery behind us, we are at the one and only Grand Canyon in northern Arizona. So a quick update, if this might be the first video you're watching, we received our Starlink internet satellite service back in January of 2022. We were stationed in Yuma, Arizona for about 4 months. We're full-time RV nomads and received it down there as we stayed in a long-term visitor area. Our first move was around the beginning of March, where we moved down to Tucson, which was in episode 3. We were excited to announce that they had enabled roaming just as we got to the Escapers rally in Tucson. So since then, we've been able to try it out in several other locations with somewhat mixed results, so I wanted to give you guys an update on that. So as I was saying, in episode 3, we had just arrived in Tucson, and we're excited to see that roaming had been enabled. So while in Tucson, we were there for about a week. Our actual service address was about 20 miles east of where we were at, and we had really perfect connection. No issues whatsoever. We had a few interrupted services, but they didn't last for more than maybe about 10 seconds. So after that, we headed up towards Phoenix. We stayed in a boondocking area called the Gold Canyon area, and I was unable to move my service address up there because it said Starlink was not available in the boondocking area where we were headed. So what I ended up doing is I found a spot about 10 miles north of there, moved my service address there, up near the state park. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of it right now. But anyway, we moved our service address about 9 miles north of the Golden Canyon area and had just great service. No issues, connected just fine, even though the map accordingly said that there was no service in that area. We stayed there for about 3 or 4 days and then headed up to Sedona. We were in Sedona for about 2 weeks, and about 7 days in, we started to get this message anytime we turned it on. Well, let me back up. We actually moved our service address. We were unable to move it to Sedona because it said that the cell was full, and we ended up moving it to an area about 20 miles south of our boondocking spot in Sedona. About a week in, we started getting this message, and I'll put it below here, an image of it, basically saying that we were outside our service area. The flag on Starlink was, the flag for roaming said true, but it said we would have degraded service and or no service at all, and basically it stopped working for long periods of time. What I was able to do, however, is I was able to move my service address from the location 20 miles away to exactly where I was. So I don't know if that was sheer luck. I had tried to do it about 6 or 7 times and was unable to before that. But on that day, when I started getting this message, I don't know if there was a new firmware update, if they opened up cells, or I just got lucky, somebody moved out and I moved in. So we moved it there to Sedona, and we officially then were no longer roaming. Our roaming flag was false, but we were getting service. Now, during that time, the remaining week that we had left, service was hit or miss, to be honest with you. We'd have 10-20 minute periods where there was no service. We also had no obstructions, so I would look up the obstructions in the Starlink app, and we had no issues there. But I'm not sure what was going on. I don't know if the system was bogged down. Even though I was no longer roaming, I was considered in my home area. We had mixed results, to be honest with you. But for the most part, I would say it worked 70% of the time. We then headed off to go to the Grand Canyon, where we're at currently, and I was able to move my service address directly to the boondocking spot where I was. In between there, Starlink had actually released a map, and I'll show you a picture here, where you could go on and interact to see or it's not so much a photo, it's a website where you can interact to see what areas are full and what areas are not, so that if you're trying to order Starlink, but it also then gives you an idea if all of the cells are full in that area, and there wasn't anything full in the Grand Canyon area. So we had no problem moving it to where we're at. Since we've arrived here about 5 days ago, we've had, I would say, an 8 out of 10 on a scale rating of how well it's been working. We do have some obstructions because I just can't get it high enough over the trees at where I'm parked at. We're here with several friends, so there's limited areas that I can kind of move to. But in the meantime, I did get finally my pole mount, so I'm going to be able to use the pole mount in future situations to maybe get it up a little bit higher to raise it up over the trees. And I'll show you a picture of my setup again now that I've got the pole mount on there. I haven't mounted the satellite dish up to it, but you'll get the idea of how it's going to work. So yeah, that's our current update. It's been working 80% of the time. We continue to move our home zone because I don't want to get a situation where, like, cell phones or the towers are full and etc., and I get deprioritized because I'm a roamer. So I try to move it to where we're going. We're headed to Monument Valley, Valley of the Gods, up in Utah and northern Arizona later this week, and then on to Moab. So I'm going to have some more updates for you guys. But thanks for watching today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, etc., please put them below in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring the bell.